What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today my final mock, the mock of the year, is Bucky Brooks Mock Draft 4.0, and yes, we are continuing it for a second round because I'm not really a huge fan of reviewing a mock draft and not putting my own name and my own picks on the line. So if you guys are new, would love for you guys to stick around. The draft is tomorrow. I will be dropping one more mock draft tomorrow. You guys see under my face, this is an updated big board. And now if you guys go to my Twitter, I'll probably include the link as well under this. I have this board available for you guys to see firsthand, so you guys get to check it out. Wanted to make sure that you guys could just look at it. No paywall, no nothing. You guys just get to have free access to it. So feel free to do that. Of course, yeah, again, you got to go to my Twitter first for that. I probably will include it down in the description. But in case I don't, it's guaranteed pinned to my profile. It's just a Google Doc. So feel free to go check it out. And, let me know what you guys think. I know my board's going to be extremely unique to myself. But you know what? I want to be completely transparent and have a high level authenticity with you guys. So as long as I can be real, that's all that matters to me because that's what you guys deserve. So let's kick this off because I already had to plug in the picks for my mock draft, and it's going to be a fun ride. Bucky obviously is known as the number 2 to DJ, and he does have some good points here and there. I prefer Daniel Jeremiah, we'll put it that way, and a lot of these mock draft picks, I just don't really trust the reliability of it. But let's get right into this. Carolina Panthers going Bryce Young. Not going to take too much time addressing that one. It seems kind of like the done deal. Texans going Tyree Wilson. I believe he is a local guy, high upside and extremely raw. Does seem to fit what DeMeco Ryans can do. He's one of those dudes who I do trust developing a freak talent like Tyree Wilson. You can't really teach that frame, that 35.5-inch arm length. Personally, I would go Will Anderson. Obviously, you guys see it right there, number 1 on my big board, but it is what it is. I do think that they could be a little bit more intrigued with the size, versatility, and just the pure measurable standpoint of Tyree Wilson. Arizona Cardinals going Will Anderson Jr. is the obvious selection. I think that if they do want to, if the Texans want to go an edge rusher at 2, it's going to be edge rusher. I don't know if a team is going to trade up to 3. Because, you still have 3 more starting quality quarterbacks on the board. Some people believe 4. And I just don't know if the value will be there for teams to want to move up into this spot. Maybe Tennessee, but we'll see about that. Colts then going C.J. Stroud. I don't know if they take him above Will Levis. And today he said, I'm not a test taker. I'm a football player. I don't really test very well. And it was actually something that started making me doubt whether CJ did poorly on the S2 test. And, to be fair, there's not enough information out there to the public for us to understand how accurate the S2 test is in terms of predicting the future of their play. Yeah, last year Brock Purdy was a high scorer and he does well. I love Brock Purdy, so, it is what it is. But CJ didn't, there was one of the owners or somebody really high up in S2 that was on the Pat McAfee show talking about this. And he's like, a certain individual came to us when he was tired, hungry. We just said, we'll do you at the pro day as well. We just need to do this because this is what we're required to do. And that would have been, if he didn't say anything about that, he just said, hey, listen, what's already been said has already been said. There's rumors out there and they're not true. If that's what he should have said. Instead, he kind of affirmed the fact that he didn't score well and that it wasn't a fluke test. It was the fact that he cannot process information quickly. And a lot of CJ Stroud stands are going to just come at me for that one. I don't have him that far down my board. I'm at 15. It's not like I'm saying he's a bust. But there are a lot of instances on his tape where you see processing errors where it's well, why the hell did you throw that? What are you doing? And sometimes a lot of throws of these other QBs do the same. But CJ certainly, with the amount of reps he's had in that system, you wouldn't really expect those processing errors. And then the S2 does affirm it. I am genuinely concerned, and I do think a team like the Colts would pass on CJ Stroud for someone like Will Levis. Seahawks then going Christian Gonzalez. I can't see it happening. If Jalen Carter's there, I don't ever see them going in corner. They hit on 2 last year later on. Don't really see the need for them to take one at 5. Does not make sense at all. Lions going Jalen Carter. If he's there, I do believe that they could be inclined on taking him. Inside sources that I heard like about a month ago were telling me they weren't interested in him at all. We'll see if that's true. I don't think he'll be there at 6, and I have a strong inclination this is Devon Witherspoon, but we'll see what happens when the draft comes around. Raiders then going Devon here. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about them going O-line at this selection, and personally, I would go Paris Johnson, or I would personally trade back, especially if Jalen Carter's on the board. I'd trade back with the Eagles, and if you want to go an offensive tackle, go right tackle. Go Darnell Wright there at 10. But, it is what it is. Devon Witherspoon would be a great selection if you don't move out of there. He's moved up my board as well because I actually did another tape study on all of the Illinois defensive backs. And over summer, by the way, you guys need to join the Discord because we're going to start the 2024 tape studies. And depending on how my internship search turns out, we'll see if we'll be having a lot of those or we're going to be having those more as shorter in quantity, but longer in the length of it, because I definitely want to get going on these tape studies for the 2024 class. And it's going to be fun. Lucas Van Ness for the Falcons would be an absolutely awful selection, in my opinion. This dude's a one-trick pony, and I never back down from that. I just say that, obviously this is predicting realism here. I just don't think they would take him over someone like Nolan Smith. I'm just praying to God. This could end up being Bijan Robinson. Don't really get that fully. I don't think Bijan complements Tyler Algier that well. And, for the value, you can get a guy who's better complement at a later pick. But that is another topic for another day. That another day is tomorrow. Holy shit. Bears then going Peter Skoronski. I just don't think they're going to be going after a left tackle / interior guy at 9. I love Peter. He is number 5 on my board. I have a lot of faith in the guy. But man, I just genuinely believe if you're going to be going to tackle, you better go Darnell Wright. Or if you just say, screw it, we're willing to do with the position change and, pray to God, go Paris Johnson. Go a true tackle. I don't trust Peter to do that. I'd rather be in a dire situation where I don't have either tackle spot and I have guard spots open for me to go after someone like Peter Skoronski. Eagles then going Myles Murphy. I personally would love it. I love Myles Murphy. I think that he's going to get back that 2022 or 2021 tape, and he just had an off year. A lot of those guys on Clemson had an off year this year, so I don't understand that, but it is what it is. Myles Murphy, great size, tested out. He's almost identical to Travon Walker. And the thing is, I think he's a little bit more polished overall, and he's a little bit better as a processor on the field than Travon Walker, who I was a big fan of last year. Tennessee Titans then going Paris Johnson. If you're not going to go a QB, this is an excellent selection. I do feel like this was a forced forced pick for the Texans to be able to push Will Levis down the board, or it might have been a forced pick earlier to let Will Levis fall. But Will Levis does get 212, and if that's the case, that is an excellent selection. Green Bay Packers going Dalton Kincaid. I think that'd be an absolute travesty of a pick. I love Dalton Kincaid. He is by far my tight end number 1, and he's somebody who I do have a first round grade on. And on that document where you guys get to see this big board, you guys actually don't get to see it on this, but to the right, I have a breakdown as to where I have actual grades on these players. I have dudes highlighted top 32 in green, top 64. You guys know what I'm talking about, but that's not how I break them down in terms of my actual, legitimate day 1 grades. So Green Bay Packers going Dalton Kincaid would be an absolute waste. There's a lot of really good tight ends, and actually I just restudied Brenton Strange. I think that dude's going to be actually really, really good. He was not used properly there at all. And I was not getting the hype for a minute, but the more I watched him, the more I fell in love with him. So even if you end up passing on a tight end in round 2, round number 3, you can get an absolute stud. Patriots then going Bijan. There's a lot of rumors to it, so obviously this is predictive. I personally wouldn't go that way, but if Bill Belichick wants to do it, I'm not going to argue with Bill. New York Jets then going Broderick Jones. I feel like it's been linked to the Jets for a long time now. Commanders then going Joey Porter Jr. That's an excellent move. I think Deonte Banks would be more their selection because of the proximity to Washington, but honestly, I think Joey Porter Jr. would be the better selection. Steelers going Darnell Wright. I'd prefer Deonte Banks, and y'all know how much I love Darnell Wright. I actually have Darnell 9 spots above Deontay Banks. I just think that Deontay would be excellent in this system, being able to be trained by Patrick Peterson. I also think that the Steelers don't need to immediately address right tackle. And personally, I think we need to get something at the cornerback position. And maybe you can wait till round 2. We'll see what is there. But man, I mean, you're grasping at straws. The Detroit Lions then going Deontay Banks. So love that for them. They ended off getting Jalen Carter and Deontay. It's a great 1-2 pick. I do like that for them. Buccaneers going Osiris Torrance way too early. Osiris has had some really big slip-ups, and it's a bit unfortunate. But, he does have a lot of potential. Great size, great frame. And, I love me some Raging Cajuns, and him transferring from Louisiana to Florida was a good way to see him take a step up in competition and still maintain that high-end performance. Seahawks then going Nolan Smith would be awesome. I don't know why you wouldn't get Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, but, do your thing. Chargers then going Michael Mayer. I just think this tight end class is actually getting deeper the more I study these dudes. And I know that the new OC, Kellen Moore, is a big fan of tight ends. I think you could totally wait. I think there's better receiving options on the board. There's Jack Smith and Jigba as well if you want to actually get a Keenan Allen replacement. But there's also guys like Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison that would be a lot more explosive. I just think there's better options, as well as Brian Branch, I still think is on the board. Now, we got Anthony Richardson to the Ravens. Obviously, I'm not going to address the fact that he should have went before this, but, he's predicting that AR might not have the actual hype that we think he does. He's a great player. I have him as my number 6 player in the draft. He's an alien athletically, and he still is growing, and he's grown a lot. He looks like somebody who actually does really give a damn, and it looks like it physiologically hurts him to be subpar. That game versus Florida State, where he had 33% completion percentage, still had some beautiful throws. But I saw how defeated he looked at that post press conference, and I love that. It's great to see when someone really truly cares about their game, because even though they made some high level throws here and there, he really wanted to be better. And I'm sure most quarterbacks are like that. But then watching him through the offseason improve his mechanics, I just truly believe this guy will work year after year and get better and better. And he already has such a great foundation for success. And especially if he ends up on the Ravens, whether it's here or with a trade-up selection, I think he's going to do an excellent job. I have full faith in Anthony Richardson, of course. My board will change based on where players will go. And if you guys want to see a post-draft board saying, hey, thanks to the guys on these certain teams, thanks to these scheme fits, I'm moving up these guys versus moving down these guys, feel free to let me know. And I'd be more than willing to do that. But next, Vikings going Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. Love that for him. If he's there, it's a great, great combination with Justin Jefferson. Not going to complain about that. And if you want more of a speed dynamic threat, you can get one in a later round. Brian Branch to the Jaguars. Nice. Love that for him. Zay Flowers, super dynamic. I think they'd go after Quentin Johnston if he's there. Just kind of going to address where you're trying to get Kenny Golladay. Cowboys going Steve Avila. I do think that is a potential likely option. This team has been built on the offensive line. That is what the identity of the Cowboys was for the past decade. And Steve Avila right down the road in Arlington, from Arlington there in Fort Worth. So it's like literally a 15-minute drive. Obviously, scouts are just going to go there just to see prospects. And Steve Avila was there quite a bit. He is a very talented player. I have him in my top 50. He has some plays where I think he can do a little bit more, but certainly a starter potential. And I think he can compete and actually be able to win a starting gig and potentially be a longer-term starter. Buffalo Bills then going Jordan Addison. I think that's very nice to add another weapon to Stephon Diggs as well as Gabriel Davis, and just the value adds up. Bengals going Anton Harrison, played one game at right tackle. I think that would be a great selection based on the fact that he keeps falling. Then we have the Saints going Kalijah Kancey. They do need defensive interior, and I am all here for it. Keon White to the Eagles makes absolutely zero sense. If I'm just going to be completely blunt, why the hell would you get Miles Murphy and Keon White? They're 10 pounds apart. And, you'd probably be playing Keon White on the inside, but I mean, I don't see the value in that. I mean, hell, if you want to get a defensive interior, there are guys like Brian Breezy there who are true defensive interiors. There are also defensive interiors like I think Mozzie Smith's still on the board. Want to go after that route? Keanu Benton, if you want to reach. Ade Tomiwa Adebawore. Are much better options to me than Keon White there. Kansas City Chiefs then going Will McDonald to end off this part of the draft, replacing Frank Clark. I think that'd be a nice addition, a good compliment there to Karlaftis. Y'all know how this is. I'm going to continue the mock draft. Steelers are up. Darnell Wright was that first round selection. I mean, we could go DeJuan Jones, go 2 right tackles. See, that's another reason why I feel comfortable waiting over being able to draft a star defensive back. I love Jack Campbell. I'm going to try to keep this more realistic. I do think the Steelers would fall in love with the tenacity of Emmanuel Forbes and just pray that he builds the frame, and he doesn't need to be a true corner one right now. We'll see what happens there because his talent level is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Pick number 33, this is probably going to be Quentin Johnston, and it will be. Now you have, that's ridiculous to get him at 33. I don't get that personally. Pick number 34, you guys apparently really like Paris Johnson, so I do think tackle is on the mind. DeJuan Jones would just be tough to see over for Kyler Murray, but I don't think that's a bad option if you want to develop offensive linemen. You probably are looking for a pure left and not a pure right, but this class also kind of lacks anything at that left tackle spot, and I personally would be open to drafting DeJuan Jones and letting him sit and develop while Kyler Murray gets healthy. And I think that would be a good investment. They are looking for tackle, at least. I think that would be a good idea. The guards, you can get some later, and same thing with the centers. There are dudes who are available in round number 3. So we are going to be going after DeJuan Jones. I know it's crazy, but I'm testing things out here anyway. I'm going to be doing my final mock draft, which I might do 2 full rounds with trades tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. We'll definitely see how it goes. Pick number 35 for the Colts. I think offensive line is something they should definitely go after, but I do believe they do end up targeting a cornerback. Some people think Cam Smith will be taken before Tyreek Stevenson. I don't believe so. Tyreek Stevenson has a lot of potential, and I think he is a much more raw version of Stephon Gilmore. So I do think he would fit very well into that system. The Rams, another spot where I don't think Tyree Wilson gets past, but I think Jahmyr Gibbs would be the way that they would go about this. I don't think it's the right move necessarily, but they were trying to trade for Christian McCaffrey during the regular season. And I do think since the fact that they do have their coach back, their quarterback back, and I believe Aaron Donald is still there, you're still trying to win right now, and Jahmyr Gibbs would be one of those ways to do it. And I think the running back value will be pushed up a little bit just because of the fact that we got 3 hits on running backs last year. This is a copycat league. If you do see that running backs are starting to work out of the draft, and especially ones that are taken in that 2nd/3rd round, it's probably going to trend that way this year as well. 37, Nolan Smith as well as Christian Gonzalez have been selected. I think John Michael Schmitz would be a really fun option here. I'm looking at the other interior offensive linemen available: Luke Whippler, Joe Tippmann. Tippmann might be a really fun one, but I do think John Michael Schmitz as a guard would be a great addition to this team. Raiders, you guys are looking for offensive linemen, and DeJuan Jones would have been excellent at this spot. He's no longer available. I have a feeling that Joe Tippmann will tickle your fancy, so to speak, and you can use him as well as a guard at a guard position. I don't think centers have to be center exclusive. We have seen it plenty of times, especially with the Eagles. Landon Dickerson, former center at guard. Beef Jurgens, former center at guard. You can easily move them, but those are the first 2 names that popped into my head. Pick number 39, Mozzie Smith might be a really fun option here. Hard to think that he would be slipping past this point, but I'm going to be going Jack Campbell here to be a true Mike linebacker in this system. Very hard to find somebody who's as talented with that size and athleticism. Pick number 40, I honestly might go back to the well and go Mozzie Smith and get another absolute beast. Josh Downs would be a great addition to this team. Darnell Washington would be a great addition to this team. There's some good additions that you can bring to this team. That's the bottom line. Interior offensive lineman, I do believe also could be a good idea. Andreas P as well as why am I forgetting Cesar Ruiz's name? Yeah, they're both up for contracts as of next year. Could definitely take another guy right here, but I feel like they're not going to force that need. Instead, I'm going to go Adi Tamiwa Adebawore. I do believe that he is going to garner a lot of attention, and at that 280 frame with athleticism, he didn't really put it on the field until maybe the Senior Bowl, and even then he had some reps were a little bit underwhelming for sure, but he just needs to have that extra oomph to his game. I thought that he had excellent get off, the best get off I've seen from someone that size, and he tested that way. But when you do see that he can't transfer his speed to power, that is concerning. I do believe he could be here at pick number 40. Pick 41, Paris Johnson was that first round selection. I just want to continue going Mozzie Smith to every single team that I see. A wide receiver here would probably be a viable option for the team. Jalen Hyatt would be a good depth piece, or not good depth piece, but good deep threat, and obviously right down the road from Knoxville. In Nashville, Josh Downs, another really good option. Tennessee, pretty damn close in proximity to North Carolina, so I'm sure you guys might say that means absolutely nothing, but it just allows them to have more reason to be at every single game, be able to go see the practices more often. You're not going to be flying out your scouts every single week to, Seattle from Nashville, Tennessee to watch every single practice. But if it's down the road there in North Carolina or Knoxville, I'm sure you're going to have plenty of exposure to it. But I will say this, I do think if Hendon Hooker is here and they don't take one in the first round, they're going to stick with their dude who was able to, I believe, beat Alabama last year. And Hendon Hooker would be a great choice. Pick number 42. Felix Onyeudike-Uzomah is still here. I highly doubt that they would pass on him at this point. Ade Tamiwa would also be a good selection, but I do think they're going to focus on that defensive front. Pick number 43 for the Jets went after Broderick Jones earlier. I'm going Mozzie Smith at this selection. They were trying to get Fletcher Cox. I think they're going to go after Mozzie Smith if somehow, some way he is here. Pick 44, Darnell Washington would be absolutely ridiculous paired up with Kyle Pitts. I do think they could be looking that way. They've watched him quite extensively now, and I think that's exactly what I'm going to elect to do. It's just one of those picks that I do believe could happen. Again, it's a Georgia guy staying there in Atlanta. I think it would be a good choice too. I think that allowing Kyle Pitts to be wherever the hell he wants to be rather than just a pure tight end would be a nice flexibility to have. So pick number 45 for the Packers. I think tight end would be a great choice here if they did not take one earlier, but we have a tight end selected. We have an edge rusher selected. Now, I think Cody Mauch could be a really intriguing developmental piece. Jalen Hyatt would be awesome, but I think Keanu Benton might be the guy since Dean Lowry is no longer there. I don't know if they would go after Brian Breezy over Keanu Benton. Obviously, I'm going to bring up the proximity thing again. You got someone who is right down the road there in Wisconsin, Madison, versus Green Bay. I think that could be someone that they lean more towards. Brian's been less available in terms of the amount of the amount of snaps he's had. Keanu Benton might be that dude who does end up sneaking above him. I'm just trying to predict it right now. The best ability is availability, and even though the things that have kept Brian off the field have not been correlated, it does not mean that teams won't, think that way. Pick number 46, Patriots went Bijan in round number 1. I'm going to look at the corners at this point because I do think they could use one. And if Keely Ringo's here, I think that Bill Belichick will be more than happy being able to train him up. Pick number 47, Brian Breezy's still on the board. Still ridiculous to me. Joey Porter Jr., round number 1 selection. I am going to be going after a linebacker here in Drew Sanders. Pick 48, this is Brian Breezy, defensive interior. You guys have now gone, actually you went Jalen Carter earlier. Never mind. Pass on that. Still wouldn't be an awful idea. However, other positions of note, tight end Sam Laporta is an absolute beast. I love him to death. Running back could be in the picture. Could go Cody Mauch to be a future option over Glasgow as well as Vaitai there at right guard. I think that would be a smart move, something that you could do for the investment in the long run. But I also think that a wide receiver would not tight end. A wide receiver would be a smart move if you can get someone who's a little bit bigger. I just don't trust the guys who are available right now. I really like Michael Wilson. He's my next X wide receiver. And double checking what you guys went after, Deonte Banks. Damn, that's such a good pick. Such a good pick. Man, I mean, you could go after Jalen Hyatt and then add a little bit more speed to this roster. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze right now. I'm actually going to opt for Trenton Simpson here. I just rewatched Diane Henley again today, and I just still don't get wowed by him. I think Trenton Simpson's a better prospect, but the Steelers probably going to get the guy who falls from those two. I do think we could address that linebacker spot. We do usually do a good job in free agency, though, bringing more guys in. I'm going to go Brian Breezy here to continue developing our roster on that front. Praying to God that my first pick was not a defensive interior, and it was not. Let's go. Brian Breezy could certainly be there at pick 49. Pick number 50. I think Sam Laporta would be a good choice here. Thinking back to what the Buccaneers did, not go quarterback, which I think is personally not very smart. I think going and giving Baker a reliable tight end weapon would be a great choice. Pick number 51. I'm going Cody Mauch. He's a tackle with guard versatility. I think that's exactly what you guys can be open to taking here. 52, John Michael Schmitz was the selection before this, as well as Christian Gonzalez and Nolan Smith. So edge rusher, cornerback, and then offensive line have been addressed. Josh Downs would be a very nice pickup at this point. I think that would be a smart move for your roster. Other guys of note, you could go Jalen Hyatt here. B.J. Ojulari should not be falling. That is a little bit ridiculous. You guys don't need that much. That's what I have. That's the bottom line. I'm going to go after a linebacker, though. I'll go Diane Henley here. I don't trust Devin Bush to be a long-term starter. And then Bobby's there for a year. 53 for the Bears. I think defensive line probably should be the way they go. Thinking back to what they did, they went probably Peter Skoronski, and they did. So Peter Skoronski was selected with the first pick. Could go and continue addressing the offensive line, but B.J. Ojulari's here. Not going to let him slip any further. Pick number 54, going Josh Downs. Not going to explain it. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Pick number 55. Again, I'm debating taking my swing right here at an X-build wide receiver. And I think with the loss of Jameson Williams for a hot minute, you guys are going to be going and testing your luck. Michael Wilson's dealt with a lot of injuries, but if he were completely healthy, I'd probably have him as a top 30 player in the draft. Pick number 56. So we've addressed safety with Brian Branch. I think that tight end would be a great move here. Luke Musgrave as well as Brenton Strange should be in the equation. I'm going to be going after Luke Musgrave here. I do think that he'll end up going. Only reason he is here is because, like Michael Wilson, has not been 100% healthy. Pick 57, I believe this was Zay Flowers earlier. Cam Smith is going to be the choice for me. Getting a defensive back with safety versatility feels like something that Wink Martindale can take full advantage of, and I am all for it. Pick 58, I'm sorry, Cowboys fans, I'm going to continue hammering it. Zach Charbonnet, perfect compliment there for Tony Pollard. And this team loves to run the ball. I'm going to continue to do that. Pick 59. So Jordan Addison, round number 1. Tank Dell would be a fun addition here if you had not done that. I think Luke Whippler, a little too good to pass on. So we're going to be going after Luke. Pick number 60 for the Bengals. What'd you take in round 1? Anton Harrison. I am going to take a stretch pick here, and I am going to go Brenton Strange out of Penn State. Obviously, Pennsylvania, relatively close to Ohio there, and Brenton Strange was really weirdly used. I just don't believe that we are able to see it. Just like Sam Laporta, him at his full potential, extremely fast on tape. I'm like, that's really weird. Hot and cold in terms of a blocker, but he does have perfect motor in terms of actually wanting to play 100% on those blocking reps. So we'll see what happens there. I think that, you probably will take Julius Brents if he is there, but I wanted to show a little bit of love to Brenton Strange. Pick 61, I am going to end up selecting Julius Brents at this point. His tape is far worse than what people are talking about, but I'm just not going to argue with you guys on that one. Pick 62 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Took 2 defensive linemen, And I think Jalen Hyatt would be a good choice here. Looking at the offensive linemen that are available, nothing really great. I was hoping to maybe get a future option here. You could go Matt Bergeron and kick him into guard and kind of train him and see if he can become a tackle. Wouldn't be an awful idea, but I think the best idea would probably to go Matt Bergeron or Jalen Hyatt. And with Quez coming up on a contract, and you can never get too much speed, Jalen Hyatt's the choice. In at pick 63, Will McDonald was that first selection. Tank Dell will end off the second round. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. See you guys on the far side. Peace.